Thank you, everybody. Let's welcome Michael Berryman.
I'd curtsy, but I'd fall over. I'd probably hurt myself. Is this on? Welcome to Sacramento. So, can you hear better this way or better this way? Split the difference. Okay, I can do that. Well, thank you for showing up to our panel. Is that with one or two N's? I don't know.
One.
That's
3.
school marm. So I got to tell you, the last time I was here, I think it was about 3 years ago. I think you've been breeding because there's a hell of a lot more of you this time around. But that's a good thing. Most recently, I just got to say, we still go to the movies. We're living in Grass Valley now. And just the other day, went to see Deadpool 2 because it's fun. And saw, who did the cameo that got electrocuted?
Brad Pitt.
Yeah, Brad Pitt, yeah. Want to see Tag? Is it Tag or Tagged?
Tag.
Anybody
Tag.
seen it? Who wants to see it? Haven't seen it yet. Let's see what's going on. I've been doing a lot of indie films with a guy as a doctor, orthopedic surgeon in Arkansas. His name is Jesse Burke, and he did a couple shorts that have been winning awards at indie film festivals. One of them is called One Please. Anybody see that? One Please? Yeah, I'm the creepy ice cream man that comes to suburbia, and the daughter wants an ice cream. I pull up in my ice cream truck, and there's a coil spring on the roof of the truck with a scary clown head, and we stop, and it goes, eh, 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 eh. The side door opens up, it's dark, it's a silent short, and he's doing film. And it probably looked funny having that growing out of my face. So anyway, the daughter wants ice cream, and she's tugging at mom's apron. And mom's chop, 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 chop. Cuts the ribbon off of her ponytail, ties it around her own finger, cuts the finger off, gives it to the daughter, because that's the cost of an ice cream cone. So, he's a very brilliant guy. He writes these shorts. They're kind of fun. There is rumor, yes, that there might be another Devil's Rejects. It's all in the ether. We don't know. It's all, top secret. We don't know until we get the phone call. Might be doing a film in Spain with Clint Eastwood's son, another spaghetti western. That's a possibility. What I'm pretty sure is going to happen sometime around September, I'll be going back to Spokane to do another episode of Z Nation. I'm the founder. I don't know what happened with Warren on the drone, or if Mr. Sunshine switched out the blue and red canister. I'm not sure, but it's a great show, lovely people to work with, and really good writing. I went down to L.A. for for a rap party last year, and it was Asylum Productions, and I got to meet the writers. Well, I found out that this group of 5 or 6 writers are the same people responsible for the Sharknado movies. So I said, well, Tiffany Shep is a good friend. She was in, I think, the 3rd one or something like that. And then the one with 7 heads. I mean, they're just going nuts. And I go, how many of these are you going to make? Well, we got to get you in the Sharknado movie. And I go, okay, I'll be honored. And then I go, as long as they're funded, you do that. You run across indie filmmakers. A lot of good scripts never get funded, which is a shame. But bottom line is, when you're ready to go, you hope you got all your ducks in a row and you can have fun. So, any filmmakers in the audience? Okay. One of the most important aspects of being on location or on a set is craft service.
It's true.
It's true.
It is.
It's true. And a wonderful AD that makes sure everybody gets picked up and get to the set on time. Thank you, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome.
So any questions or hallucinations or A lot of incredible outfits I've seen this weekend, even more incredible than last time. Yes?
I was actually I was wondering if anyone's talked to you about The Guyver this weekend at all. Growing up, that was one of my favorite films, and it was like one of my favorite kind of cult films. I feel like it's one of the few that somehow hasn't been remembered as much. For anyone that doesn't know, Mark Hamill's in it. It was like It was, and his face, it's funny because his face is on most of the posters. And it makes it look like he's the Guyver, but he's not. And so I was just wondering, what was that experience like for you? And I can't remember, did you share scenes with Mark? I can't even remember if you did.
Let's see. Okay, it was a Brian Usna film, directed by Screaming Mad George, who is a very gifted gentleman. And we had Mark Hamill, and I forget the guy the actor who was the Guyver. It's very pulpy. It's just nothing but fun. So I played Lisker, and I'm one of the Zonoids. So George is an incredible artist, and his sculptures to make the masks and the suits that we turn into. I'm kind of like a reptilian head, and we do this, when we do a transformation, it's time-lapse photography, and it's just really remarkable stuff.
So it was really you under the makeup, even like when it was the full body suit, or?
The full body suit actually was a full body cast of my body, and we got the stunt doubles had to wear the suits. They were beautiful. I mean, beautifully detailed. It was really a lot of fun. The girl playing my girlfriend, the red-haired lady, her name is Spice Williams. She's a stunt woman, and also she was a member of the GLOW, the Glorious Ladies of Wrestling. Really a lot of fun. And there's a scene where we're waiting to steal. The Guyver is a device that gives power and transformation to superpowers. So we're waiting for our sidekicks, and one of them is JJ.
Doesn't he transform into the gremlin zonoid? Or?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so there's a scene where I'm sitting in the van with Spice Williams, and we're really, really tough. So we're kind of waiting, and I'm going, this Guyver thing, and she goes, shh. She shushes me, and she goes, we never go anywhere. We're always on an adventure. And I go, okay, what would you like to do? And she goes, well, we should go on a vacation. And I go, okay. You need to take me shopping. Okay. In Brazil? No, I go, in Brazil on vacation. And she goes, and then, will you take me shopping? And then I kind of go, like, yeah, sure. Well, later that night, we had a wrap, and I went with some members of the company to a very nice restaurant. And Spice Williams was a red-haired vixen and a lady wrestler. So she's, and a stunt woman. She's strong, and she's flexible. And a gentleman comes over from another table, and he's got a very nice suit on. He's a really big fellow. And I'm there with a couple other stuntmen and people. And he says, you want to hang out with me because you don't want to be hanging around with this guy. And he had a little too much to drink. So I very politely said, well, would you like to have a selfie or something? And he wouldn't behave himself. And so I gave a wink, and I said, well, you know what? Maybe you should go sit down and behave yourself. And he goes, well, what are you going to do about it? And I said, I'm not going to do a thing about it, but my girlfriend is going to show you some manners. And he goes, oh, I would like that. So I get out of my seat, and Spice gets up, and he makes a move, and she just grabbed his little pinky, and it's not supposed to go in this direction. Well, he went in that direction. Next thing you know, he was down on one knee, and he was not proposing. He was just going, ow, and off he went. Yeah, it's nice to be protected by a powerful woman, yes. So, anyway, has anybody seen Andrew Getty's only film, The Evil Within? Yeah, 10 years in post-production. It's a film written based on a nightmare that Andrew had, He passed away last year, and it was in post-production for 10 years. He graduated from the USC School of Film, and all of the special effects are practical, which is quite amazing. You can get it on Amazon for $10, actually, if you look for it. And it's really a creepy, wonderful, gorgeous dreamscape based on a nightmare he had. In the opening sequence, he filmed it at his home, which was actually a 4-story castle. So imagine a bedroom, and there's a gentleman who's in bed, and he's talking to the audience, and he's saying, and it's dark, and he's saying, "Oh no, he's here. I can sense him. That necrotic flesh stretched over tungsten bones. I can't move. Oh God, he's here at the edge of my bed, and it's me. I'm a cadaver." Okay? The next thing you know, I'm on the bed. I turn him over on his back. Now, the camera is at the headboard looking over Dennis, and you see me. And then I hold up a rolled up zipper with needles, and I let it drop down, and I start to attach it to the back of his head. Now the camera's up here looking down, and it's going all the way down his back. Then I unzip his body, and I climb into it and exit. And that was all practical, no CGI.
Wow.
So The Evil Within. And Sean Patrick Flannery is in it, Dina Myers, and Fred Kohler. It's really a lot of fun. It's a work of art. You're going to ask questions, or I'll ask? Yes, sir.
Motley Crue smoking in the boys' room. Oh, yes! I mean, they're known for their excess and their partying, and I'm just curious if you have any stories from that set, or any stories from.
I can tell you the truth. Can you handle the truth? Yes, okay. Well, here's the deal. Well, honestly, I got a phone call from my agent. He was an older agent, been around Hollywood a long time. He looked kind of like Earl Flynn with white hair and a little mustache. He's really great. Lou Deucer, miss you, Lou. He calls me up and he goes, "Hey, kid, I got you a gig." And I go, "Lou, that sounds so wrong coming from you, you know. But what do I do? Where do I go?" "Well, tomorrow, Saturday, you go to this school, and you're going to play a school teacher for this rock and roll video, and there's something about a kid, and his homework gets stolen, eaten by a dog, and just have fun with it." "Okay, well, what is the name of the band?" He goes, "Motley Crue." "Okay, I think it's Motley Crue, but okay." So I immediately call up a friend of mine who's a film historian. He has a huge library. He knows everything about film. Really nice guy. He used to be a driver for an admiral at the Pentagon. Very interesting fellow. So I say, "Hey, John, you're my driver because I should not be driving. I'm doing a music video with Motley Crue, and I think we'll be misbehaving." And he goes, "Oh, okay." So we get to a school, and there's teenagers there, and then there's a stage, and there's a curtain, and there's a security not to let the kids go behind the curtain. So I go behind the curtain, and there's the crew, and I'm meeting them, and I find out that Nikki is a big Hills Have Eyes fan, and Mick and everybody, they were all super, super nice, Vince and all of them, and Tommy. So I'm looking around this room where we're hanging out, and the first thing I notice is a galvanized barrel filled with ice, and probably 5/5 of Jack Daniels, I think about 3 cases of Corona, and I think I remember one of the gals having a long fingernail. Just saying. It was the 80s, can I tell you? And I blame it all on disco. Hey, and I will follow up on that. Hey, just give me a second. So the guys were super nice. We had a lot of fun. The wig was ridiculous on purpose. And then at the end, I'd been messing around with the guys. I'd had a few beers, I'll just say. And I said, "Can you do this?" And then they thought it was really funny. And then toward the end of the video, and they reach in and remove the wig, they said, "Can you wiggle your ears?" And I go, "Yeah, I did." So it's just a fun video. And it was very, very popular. On I think Friday nights, people would call in to request, and it was like the most requested for quite a while. So a couple years later, I'm doing an ADR session, which is cleaning up the dialogue in a recording studio. And the guy says, "I knew that you were coming in, so I made a copy of a worksheet I had one day, and I have to tidy up all this dialogue and sound, and one of it was Motley Crue, Smoking in the Boys' Room, ear wiggle, replace and reinsert 4 seconds. And I go, "Well, that's cool, but what does this mean?" He says, "Well, what had happened was somebody had edited out the ear wiggle at the end to save a little bit of time. You know, you add up a couple seconds, then you have a minute, and you can have time for advertising or something else." I go, "Okay, well, people phoned in to MTV complaining. Yeah, we love the song, we love Motley Crue, but we want to see that ear wiggle." So my point is, you never know where your talent may lie. And your comment, dear, was?
Hey,
Yeah.
Rondo Disco.
Thank you. Okay, there's a university called UCLA. I grew up in Santa Monica, which is, where Dogtown was happening, and that's where the cool people wore shoes like that, Converse tennis shoes. And we invented the skateboard. Okay. That being said, there used to be a TV show called Ozzie and Harriet. Mm-hmm. Okay. They had a son, and their son was Don DeFore. Well, Ron DeFore. Ron DeFore is a very dear friend of mine, and he was going to UCLA. And at the time of disco, he had a part-time job as Captain Disco. And there was a time when they did a documentary of all the discotheques in the United States, and they ended on one called Dylan's in Westwood Village, right near UCLA. And he would have to wear a helmet, a jetpack, and he was high-wired from the corner of the building to his booth, and with sparklers, and it was really corny and lame. He was Captain Disco. So I used to go to Dylan's and hang out in the booth, and if you notice, the LPs they had for disco, they weren't really songs, and he had hundreds of these. And so I'm in the booth, and he does the thing, and you got to understand, UCLA, sometimes you have these rich, spoiled brats. "Hey, look at that idiot, what a jerk, ha ha ha, what a loser." Well, they didn't know, they didn't care, and anyway, he arrives in the booth, he takes his helmet off, he's getting ready to start the evening of disco music. And I go, "Ron, they're ridiculing you, they're making fun of you." And he goes, "Doesn't matter, I get my revenge, watch." Okay. And as time goes by, in the disco world, you can phase the beat slower or faster. And a lot of these kids were on, they were either coked up or speed or whatever. Mostly coke, probably is very popular in the 80s. It's really not a good life choice or a career choice. It's just common knowledge. But what they didn't know was, when they're getting all working out on the dance floor, he would control them. I watched him do it. I'm going, "Man, you are wicked. You're like this. Hey, let me try it." And no, they're going faster, and then he'd slow them down. And this is being recorded for posterity. Okay, sure. So my point is, don't fuck with your disco guy. But it was fun to watch, Yeah, it was fun. Yes.
You should pitch that as the plot for the next Puppet Master.
Oh, yeah. That's really a good idea. Yes, in the back.
Okay, I'm not sure if this question was asked already, but what was it like working with a legend like Wes Craven?
It has not been asked yet in this room, but Wes, Mr. Brother, what a dear friend, wonderfully talented, quiet individual. I worked with Wes 4 times, Hills 1, Hills 2, Deadly Blessings, and then a little movie of the week with Susan Lucci and I forget who the other gentleman was in it. It's called Invitation to Hell. It was kind of a spin-off of Cuckoo's Nest. Well, after I had done One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, I got the call to meet Wes Craven, Peter Locke, and Barry Kahn. And it was based on the McBean family. I'm sure you're pretty aware of the back history. And they didn't have much of a budget, so we went out to the Mojave Desert and we started filming. That's where I met Susan Lanier Brownlet, still a very dear friend. We keep in touch. And we had a station wagon, a trailer. We didn't have much of a budget. And at daytime, it was really, really hot. At night, it was really cold. The rattlesnake, by the way, was actually somebody's pet. There's a town, if you go north of LA, there's Palmdale, Lancaster, and you go east on the Pear Blossom Highway, which takes you to Vegas eventually. There's a little town called Lucerne Valley. It's a real shithole. Jim Jones lived out there. Jim Jones lived at the Ernie Gommel, he was a pastor. They also owned the store, the market, supermarket, and they had a compound, and that's where Jim Jones lived with Mr. Gommel before they went down to Guyana years later. So my point is, it was kind of sketchy. There were good people there, don't get me wrong, but it was kind of sketchy. So I was familiar with the area. So one day, we're at work, and we're having lunch. We're all sitting in a ravine, and I see people jumping up and running away. And then the person next to them, that's closer to me, jumps up and runs away. I'm starting to see a pattern. I walk away and I see a gigantic rattlesnake, and I realize that it's slightly green. That's a Mojave green. They're as deadly as a cobra. They're like neurotoxin and muscle toxin. So, no joke, the girl that played Ruby, Janice Blythe, picks the snake up. It did have monofilament line through its lips, so it couldn't open wide enough to bite you. And the guy who owned the snake, because somebody had to go get a snake to be in the movie, so they went to this dive bar in Lucerne Valley, which is a very sketchy place. I've been there. I used to shoot a lot of pool and just observe things, and some of them are very challenging to observe. So she hands the snake to Wes Craven, and Wes just faints away, and I'm going, what is going on? And I hear this guy going, he's got a burger in one hand, he says, don't touch the snake. Well, the snake had gotten out of his little cage. So he puts the snake away, it's contained, and he put it in an ice chest to keep it cool, but it was 112 degrees out, so the snake, thawed out. And I go, dude, what's wrong with you? He says, this is my pet. I go, okay, yeah, but it's a Mojave green. You didn't tell anybody that. Well, they don't know. So my point is, it was risky. There was cholla cactus. Good Lord. We would, for our off time, we would go to the Roy Rogers and Dale Evans Museum, which had Trigger with, nothing below because they thought they didn't want to scare the kids, but a stuffed horse, Roy Rogers' horse. Roy Rogers wanted to be, when he died, he wanted to be stuffed and put on Trigger. It's since been disbanded. So we did this movie in about a month's time, and it was very raw and in your face. One of the cool things about Wes, he had a wicked sense of humor. If you watch Evil Dead, in the cabin, there's a poster of The Hills Have Eyes. And these were shout-outs to the directors to one another. In our trailer, in The Hills Have Eyes, there was a Jaws poster over Brenda's bed. Just wonderful little shout-outs. So now there's a scene, remember, we didn't have much budget, so the scene when Pluto tears up the trailer, Wes goes, I want you to chop this and chop that, and it's all handheld, and Eric Seranian, I think I pronounced your name right, it's all handheld. So there's times when I'm attacking Brenda and he pulls me up and my head wipes the lens. That's because it actually embedded in the back of my head and he had a big shiner. This was guerrilla filmmaking. Now, some of the actors we call them the white bread family. They did a lot of television. We were doing features. So they were complaining about the rough, harsh conditions. But it really helped for the grittiness. One of my favorite moments is when the father goes to talk to Grandpa Fred, and he's talking about the various things that have happened, and then he goes, so I took a tire iron and I split his face wide open. And he goes, well, how bad was it? Now I told Wes, I go, you know, that makes me laugh. That shouldn't be correct. And he goes, Michael, what happens next? Oh, then he looks at the stuff that Ruby was going to trade, and then that's a diversion, and then the smash through the window. So Wes knew how to build suspense, and he knew how to scare you. But we didn't have a lot of blood and guts, you know. So it just, he would get a grip on you and never stop. He had a wicked sense of humor. Wes Craven had me dress up like Pluto, get in a van with my other two producers, drive to the San Fernando Valley in Los Angeles, go to a drive-in movie screening of The Hills Have Eyes. This is my third movie. I'm still a newbie. Yeah, sure, that's a great idea. You want me to take my knife and run around and bang on some car windows while we're doing the trailer attack? Sure, no problem. About the third car I did it to, this very large gentleman gets out of the car with a baseball bat, and he starts to curse at me, and he says, you scared my girlfriend. Now, I'm watching on the screen of me being horribly terrifying to everybody. All these hundreds of people are in their cars going, oh, I don't want to meet that guy in real life. And a guy who's meeting me in real life is going to beat my brains out with a baseball bat, and he's chasing me, no shit, right down the aisle of a frickin' drive-in. I'm going, Michael, where's the van? Fuck, I don't know. I'm looking. And I'm yelling and screaming, and I'm going, Wes, Wes, Wes. And finally I see headlights, and it starts to pull out, and I'm going, oh, I used to be a long-distance runner. I can outrun this guy. Yeah, he's not gaining. Wes opens the side door, and he goes, grab my hand. And I grab his hand, and they slam the door, and the guy's like Homer Simpson going, rah, 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 rah. And we exit. We're going down Ventura Boulevard. We go to a Denny's or some all-night diner. And I'm going, man, that wasn't really a good idea. I feel better now, so we're having pie and coffee, and we're all real quiet. And then we all look at each other, and we go, I think we might have a hit on our hands, you know. So, and then we did Deadly Blessings with Ernest Borgnine, and that was Sharon Stone's first movie. And I was dating a girl from Texas. We were filming in Texas, and my girlfriend was a Texas blonde, and she was prettier than the other girls, but she was very polite. And she got really upset when Sharon Stone walked into the tent where we're hanging out. It's like our green room, and she takes one of these and she goes, okay, you're my girlfriend, this is Sharon. This is just for an example. Hi, your girlfriend. Okay, I'm here, you're my girlfriend. That sounds wrong, but that's how we're gonna play it, okay? And please don't wink at me. So she goes, oh, she's so pretty. I can't open this water. Will you please open it for me, please? Now, see, there was Sharon and the two other gals, and they were all in competition with one another, which I do not understand, because they're all good-looking, fine-looking girls, right? You know, I mean, egos and insecurities, you know, leave them at home, right, if you can. So I feel these claws in my leg from my girlfriend. I'm going, I don't have a manual for this, and I don't know what page to look at. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'll think of something right now. You have to take it like this and snap it, like you're wringing the neck of a chicken. She walked away. I got points for that. And then after another week, my girlfriend said, I want you to quit acting, get a regular job, stay here and live with me in Texas. And I go, Lenny, look, you know I can't perspire. I can't dissipate body heat. I'll die in Texas. So I guess that's the end of it. So the weekend came, and we went back to San Antonio. And we're having this discussion as whether or not I want to continue acting or get a 9-to-5 job in Texas. And we came to an agreement that if we could get Wes Craven to get the girls to behave themselves and stop doing what girls do sometimes, they do this, I said, okay, well, let me call Wes and ask him. And I had one flight left to fly back Sunday night because I had to be at work at Monday morning. And I called Wes about 10 o'clock at night. There was a midnight flight. And he goes, Michael, it's late. Where are you? I says, oh, I'm in San Antonio. Well, you have to be on the set in the morning. I know, there's one more flight, but I have a request. You go, what's that? Can you get the girls to stop bugging my girlfriend because she'll kick their ass. She's a Texas gal. And here's what Wes Craven says. Michael, I have no control over these women at all. So it was very sad. And the last I saw her. But I did call when I got back to Dallas, and she picked up the phone, and God bless her, I said, how you doing? And she goes, remember the movie Casablanca? Yeah. I was really hoping that you would be bursting in the cabin and running down the corridor and saying, that's all it better. I mean, it was a bittersweet moment, but my point is, even Wes Craven as a director you don't have complete control. Yeah.
A quick question. I know when you got called from the director that your Skull Cowboy wasn't going to make a film, was there any talk about putting him in future films, like even though they're horrible, like the second and the third?
We were really hoping that we could shoot the 3 confrontations of Eric Draven and the Skull Cowboy, where I try to convince him that kill the ones that killed you both. If you don't follow that rule, then you will not be reunited with your beloved. And we went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and we just couldn't find an actor with the voice or the face to, or even would it be right to have someone do those crucial scenes that Brandon should have had the ability to do. In my opinion, the reason Brandon Lee died is because North Carolina is a union-busting right-to-work state. After so many weeks of production with a contract with the state to hire a union armorer, they have the option to send them home after 6 or 7 weeks or whatever it is, by law, and hire a local armorer. And they did, and the gentleman unfortunately just did not quite have the same amount of experience. He missed a little piece of shrapnel from the brass of a previous blank that was in a groove of the barrel. So when the full charge went off, that little piece of metal caused the damage. I remember getting a phone call the next morning, and it was the Hollywood Reporter. And they said, hi, I'm so-and-so from the Hollywood Reporter. I have a call sheet. There are 3 Michaels on the set. One of the Michaels killed Brandon. Did you kill Brandon?
Whoa.
And then I get a beep on the line, and call waiting is my director and producer. And I go, hey, buddy, stay on the line. It's going to sound like I'm hanging up, but you stay on the line. And then I had my conversation, and then I called my friend, and the same one that took me to the Motley Crue shoot. I said, take me to my friend's bar, and I'm going to get really sad and have a headache in the morning, and I'll tell you something that I wish had never happened. And then subsequently, we had the conversations about trying to salvage the film. There is the book by Kitchen Sink Press, The Making of the Crow, which there's a chapter called On the Cutting Room Floor, which shows it's a 4-page homage to shout out to the Skull Cowboy and all of that. Spending time with Brandon was just remarkable. He invited me into his motorhome, and we talked about him as a child growing up with his parents. He played some of the music that he'd been working on. He was in a band. Physically, he was the most flexible person I've ever seen in my life, a wonderful athlete, just a very, very special person. So I can't watch any of the other crows. I just can't. There's only the one.
They're horrible.
But if you remember back in the movie, try to picture in your mind. There's two of my favorite scenes. I'll do the more intense one first. The mother with the heroin. Heroin is bad for you. God is the name for mother on the hearts and lips of all children. Your daughter needs you. Now, the Sarah monster, Rochelle Davis, we keep in touch over the many years, and she's doing well. It's just a very touching, James O'Barr, I mean, what a gifted writer. To be able to create something out of tragedy and deal with that issue through art, and to take that rawness and that honesty and share it with everyone is quite a gift. That's why I have to say I appreciate these panels and these shows. People say, why do you do scary movies? Well, that's not the point at all. Whenever I play a bad guy, I play a bad guy well, and I want the hero to rise up to the occasion and kick my ass to show justice, some balance in the world. I watch the news and it scares the shit out of me. We're in such dangerous times, but I have children. So we have to do the right thing in November, and we have to do the right thing in the future for this planet and everything else. I met Ashton Kutcher at a party at Andrew Getty's house, and he was dating Demi at the time, and he was crying about something. They were having issues, but we had a lovely conversation. I understand he bought a bunch of land in Kenya, Africa, and he has armed guards to protect elephants. Way to go, Kelso. Thank you, Ashton. So.
Sex slavery too, like to help prevent.
I so highly applaud him for that. So people say, what's it like to be a movie star? And I go, it allows me an opportunity to meet wonderful people. I meet the most educated, the most heartfelt people at horror at conventions like yourselves. So give yourselves a shout out, because my goodness, some of you are teachers, some of you are doctors and nurses, some of you come and you share with me bits and pieces of your lives. I have the only picture of me with hair. It's me at 5 years old, premature birth. My dad was at Hiroshima. He came home glowing. Then my mother had 5 miscarriages after me. We never should have split the atom. Sorry, Einstein. But there are things that are so very important. I'm a child of the 60s, a hippie with no hair, so what? My point is, there are so many important things that we can accomplish as artists. And the art that we experience and the art that we teach our children is the art of humanity, compassion, and a future. And being appreciative. I think the most important photograph I ever saw in my life was on the back of the Whole Earth catalog, or the first image of Earth from outer space. We don't have, we have to go out there to come back to find our common humanity? Wait a minute. That's why I like what we do, and I like the stories that we tell and that we share, because they are critical to the survival of our species and for making the world a better, kinder place. If you go to Facebook, you'll see Michael Berryman. It's a green square. It's a picture from Below Zero, which is a pretty cool movie with Eddie Furlong, and I'm kind of grimacing from that. I don't know how to put a picture on the computer, couldn't do that, but I control that page. There's an official fan page. That's not me. The green square with the grimace, that's me. And if you come to that page every day, I want you to come to my page every day and scroll down many days behind, because I will post stuff of animals saving people, people saving animals, people helping people, a preacher posing to be a homeless person in a mega church that pays no taxes. You know that one? Yeah. And people are walking by, I'm not going to help you. And then the second in control pastor goes, we're going to meet our new pastor today, and here comes this homeless beggar, and people are cursing him, and the people up front paid more money to be in that pew, and blah blah. None of that matters. Sorry, the carpenter didn't. He didn't jive with that shit. You know what I'm saying? And then what happens? He walks all the way up to the podium and he says, "Thank you." He says, "Hi, I'm your new preacher. When I was hungry, you fed me. When I was naked, you clothed me. When I was homeless, you gave me shelter, 8 Beatitudes, corporal works of mercy." That's what it's about. So Here's something fun to do. I'm a shit disturber, and I will admit it. Here's something really fun to do. I've done a lot of things in my life, had a lot of odd jobs. Nursing homes, Mother's Day. I delivered flowers, from funeral homes to weddings to bar mitzvahs, you name it, and to sad homes where elderly people live. I'm gonna cack in my sleep in the woods, sorry. My point is this. I used to steal flowers from funeral wreaths, one or two here and there, nobody knew the difference. And then when I went on Mother's Day or to the nursing homes, I would give the candy stripers, they're like volunteers, that's what they used to call them. I'm old. And I would go, these flowers are for you. This is someone with partial dementia, but somebody's talking to them, right? Oh, those are so beautiful, yes. I'm so sorry, I lost the card, but someone was thinking about you. See, that's the kind of sinister shit that I do in my free time. Wow. It's fun, but here's a really fun, wonderful, cathartic, get that shit out of you and just, and be happy. Try this. Late at night, when these televangelists that don't pay taxes, they want another $53 million third jet.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about. And they go, send us money, blah, blah, blah. Here's what I've done. I call up that number, and I've done this about 5 times, and here's what I say. Hi, are you live? Yes. Good. I am very rich. I have no heirs. I have a lot of money. You're doing the Lord's work. I want to give it all to you. Oh, sure. Now, to make sure that you're live, I want to see the guy in the green jacket walk off stage, come back and whisper in so-and-so's ear, and let him know. That way I know you're live. Okay, they do it. All right, I'm going to have my butler show up with all the legal papers. Okay, what's the address? How do we do this? They start giving me info, and I go, wait a minute, I have a better idea. Oh, hang on a second, I don't feel so good. Wait for it. How about if I give you my passcode and my account information, and 2.3 million is about all I can give today, because you're doing the Lord's work. Yes, we'll take that number. All right. You ready for it? I actually did this. Here are the numbers. 7. Yeah. 7. Oh, okay, 2 sevens. 3. 4. Oh, that's not enough numbers. Did you write those down? Yes, I did. Hold it up to a mirror. Oh, hang on a second. Well, that spells hell. That's where you're going. Seriously. It's a lot of fun.
Well, thank you for so
No, we're
much.
not done.
We're not done? We're not done?
Next
We got more
question.
time?
Yes,
Out of all the movies
you're next. Go ahead.
and what is your most memorable movie, and what is the most memorable moment out of each of these movies?
Most memorable movie had to be Cuckoo's Nest, because I spent 127 days at a real mental hospital, 6 days a week. We had 2 weeks of rehearsals with carbon arc lighting, which, by the way, the French bought them all because it's beautiful light. We had Panavision cameras. I asked Milos Forman, what do I need to know? He took me and his pipe, and he walked up to the camera, and he said, I want you to look at the lens. Then he says, I want you to have a love affair with the glass. So when you see people on a set or whatever, and they're dialing in things, and they're putting tape on the floor, and they're taking tape, and you bring it to your eye, and they write down all these notes and all these focus pulls and marks, and if any filmmakers here, you know what we're talking about, racking focus, pulling focus, all that stuff. Actors need to know that stuff. It really helps production, and it's wonderful. So I used to practice just staring in the mirror and just having emotions without moving a muscle. And it'll read on your face. Try it when you get home. It's a lot of fun. So it was memorable because I knew I was going to win all the Oscars. Jack Nicholson, everybody was just so supportive. It became a family. It really did. So that was the most monumental. The most tender moment, probably the most important role I've ever done was Owen Jarvis in the X-Files.
I love that one. That's my
I was working with some undercover retired men in black people, friends of mine that happened to have safe houses for mothers and children. The courts and police, they're not even allowed to know where they exist. So one of my hobbies was to go to places and listen, and then buy a few drinks for somebody, get them to confess some things, and then when the lady was free to talk to me, I would ask her one real quick question. I'd say, does he hit you? Do you have any children? Do you want to live? I'm going to give you a phone number. You do exactly as they say. How much time do you need to get all your belongings, important papers, and go to this location and have these people pick you up and save you? You do exactly as they say. You can trust them with your life. And then they give me an answer, and I go, okay, so that means Mr. Wonderful has to go to jail tonight. No problem. Promise me that you will have zero contact forever. If you can't say that, it ain't gonna happen. On a few occasions, they said, green light, let's go. So, again, I went into the men's room and talking to Mr. Wonderful. We were in shooting pool. And I go, and I got him to say, oh yeah, I put her in her place. Okay. Back to the pool table. I'm walking from my motel. My motorcycle's in my motel. I had a Norton. And I go to the bartender, happened to be a lady, and I said, here's what's going on. John, so when Mr. Wonderful leaves, John Law needs to, give him a place to stay for the night. Okay. So he wants to leave, and I go, oh, you can't leave. I let him win. I was a very good pool player. Come on, another pitcher. I get him nice and drunk. That's kind of fun stuff. So in one of those occasions, it was parallel. Some people are still living, so I can't give you the exact. I had a situation where things didn't go quite wonderfully. Okay. If I mentioned the names, you would recognize them, and I can't do that to protect the kids. So it really was a sad day. Then the last time I ever had to audition, I went down to Culver Studios, and there was the meeting for the X-Files. And they said, this guy, we think he's the creepy guy, but he's really a guardian angel, and he gives his life and he dies to protect his child. And I was like, I'm feeling now a little bit cured up because it really happened. And I go, on the set, I'm going to tell you, Chris Carter, David Nutter, my director, we're going to have dinner, and I'm going to share with you why this is important. And it's okay to cheer up. And I go, I'm the guy you want. I know half the actors out there in the lobby, you're going to see 100 people. I'm the guy you want. And I'm going to deliver my lines right now, and I'm going to convince you that you want me, you need me for this role in Vancouver. And I got the role in Vancouver. I go to leave the room, and here's what Chris Carter says. Can you do us a favor? I go, yeah, what? He goes, well, when you walk through the room, can you please act like you didn't get the part? So everybody else does a really good, because we might use them in another episode. And I go, I can do that. I barely made it through the lobby. I ran out the lobby, went to a payphone, called my wife, and I go, hey, I got good news. What? I'm going to be in the X-Files. And it was just a wonderful shoot. Scully and Mulder were terrific. Hard Rock Cafe was right down the road. It's just really good writing. So that one allowed me to have closure. You know what I'm talking about? So, how cool is that? We see movies that parallel life, that are allegories that help us have a wonderful day and redirect our perspectives. Now, on a day when I want to have just a wonderful, wonderful day, a double bill. Here's my favorite double bill. Matinee with John Goodman, Joe Dante's film. Come on. Yeah. And then I finish with Doc Hollywood. Come on, I mean, it's killed or double bill. Yeah. There's got to be another question. Yes.
Oh, I just blanked on it. Oh, how did you get introduced to the films you did for Crypt TV?
Oh.
Those are so cool.
Oh, you mean Tales from the Crypt? Oh, Crypt TV?
One, please.
Oh, one, please. Oh, yeah. My friend Jesse Burke called my man. He liked my work. Like I say, he's a really talented surgeon. He's a wonderful guy, and he has just a brilliant sense of creativity. He kind of writes like Rod Serling. And we became very good friends, and we've done 4 with him. Yeah, absolutely.
I just have a
Yes.
really quick question. You had mentioned earlier how you knew Brandon Lee. Do you know Ira Hayden, who is also really close friends with him?
Ira Hayden?
Yeah, he's making a documentary, or at least he's trying to.
No, I'm not aware.
Yeah, he's trying to make a documentary about Brandon Lee, so I was just wondering if you had known anything about that. Or
No, I know nothing about that.
Oh, okay, yeah, maybe you could end up looking him up and get in touch with him.
I'll have my people talk to his people.
Yeah. It'd be cool to see you in the documentary.
Yes,
I have a weird science question.
I like weird science questions.
Did you feel like you're kind of typecasted in that role, or were you like gung-ho? Because it was kind of a small part. You know, you showed crashing the window, screaming a few times, and you're out. But it was the best scene ever.
It was a lovely scene. The idea was they were watching Road Warriors, so they brought Brendan Wells and us on to come out of the TV and give the boys a challenge. But I'll have to tell you, when I'm rolling the bike out, and I had time to talk to John Hughes, of course, and he says, Michael, we're going to end the scene with you, so can you come up with something? And I go, well, what if he's a school teacher and this is his way to get back to the kids? So he loved that idea. So now, if you know anything about film and editing, when you're rolling, it's hard to do an intercut seamlessly unless you move the camera. But we didn't move the camera. So as I'm moving, I know that I can do an over-the-shoulder shout out. So first I do, please don't tell anybody about this, I don't want to lose my teaching job. And then as I'm leaving, pushing the motorcycle, I look over my shoulder and I go, God bless. The reason I say that is because I grew up in Santa Monica, and the Hiltons, I went to school with Paris Hilton's father. I also went to school with Red Skelton's son, Richard Skelton. I used to hang out at the Skelton's house and read comic books with Richard, the son. Red would come into his room and read comic books with us. And I would say, Red, can you please do Gertrude and Heathcliff? Yeah, Gertrude and Heathcliff, 2 seagulls. And I go, great, can you do Mean Little Kid? Oh, Mean Little Kid. Yeah. But at the end of his show, he would always say, I want to thank our sponsors, thank our viewing audience, and I'll thank you for allowing us to be part of your family's entertainment. Good night for now, and God bless. Now, the studio said, you can't say God bless. He said, excuse me, this is the Red Skelton show? Oh, okay, Red. So, there are wonderful, wonderful people in our industry. There are wonderful, wonderful fans like yourself that appreciate the efforts that we do. And we get inspired, and we make the world a better place. I'm going to give you one last little quickie because this is hilarious. Wilshire Boulevard near UCLA, by the veterans, where the federal building was being built, there was like, they're doing construction, so they have the plywood, and then they have the catwalk, and then there's Wilshire Boulevard, and there's one guy walking toward me in a red jumpsuit. Now picture this, Caddyshack, picture this. Rodney Dangerfield is walking toward me, and I got to do it this way. And he's in a red jumpsuit, and he's walking. He looks like a heart attack walking. Hills Have Eyes had just come out, so he probably recognized my face. Maybe he saw the movie. Maybe I looked scary. I don't know. He's about from here to the wall. So I go, I love Caddyshack. I go, I got to do something. I have to do something. I'll probably never see him again. I got to do something. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And so I go, hey, it's my buddy. He does this, and he goes, that was great. That was great. I go, yeah. I says, hey, I just want to say thank you, man. Oh, well, God bless you, God bless you. Yeah, that was really good. It sounded just like me. And I go, yeah, hey, went to school with Red Skelton's son. Oh, yeah, great guy, great, wonderful show, wonderful show. How you doing? And he's nervous, he's sweating, and I think he's going to have a heart attack. And I go, God, just thank you for everything you've done. I mean, you're almost as funny as George Carlin. And he loved that. And he goes, oh. And I go, what was it like working on Caddyshack? And he goes, oh, it's great. Yeah, where's Bill Murray? Oh man, a funny guy, just tremendous. And Chevy Chase, God, what a son of a bitch. I didn't say that. He said that. Anyway, I want to thank you all. God bless you. Have fun. All right, come out, spend money.
Hey, that kangaroo just stole my golf ball!
Well, I didn't know it was the script.